Hello lovely people, it's Nicole and it's been a hot sec. Sorry about that. So let's see what's happened since I last uploaded a video. Well, first of all, Fempowerthon ended like a while ago. I filmed a final video for that, like my last day or whatever. I don't know if I ever filmed a wrap up, but it was kind of weird and jumbled because I was traveling and I don't think I have the footage anymore. So sorry about that. And then I've been having issues with my camera, actually mainly with my mic, and so I keep filming videos and then I can't actually use the footage because the sound is garbage. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm currently just filming on my phone. I am in my sister's apartment because I'm cat sitting for her right now. Also, there's this glare on my glasses that I'm trying to figure out how to deal with because I just got a ring light. But you know, I thought it's the end of the year, so let's just, you know, do the wrap up for the year. These are my best books of 2017. I'll also do a video that's my worst books of 2017. But, you know, let's start off on a positive note, okay? So, these are in no particular order. I made myself the rule. Only one book per author. Most of that rule was for Adam Silvera. And speaking of Adam Silvera, History Is All You Left Me is actually the first book on my list. I made myself choose between History Is All You Left Me and They Both Die at the End, both of which I adore. If you don't know what this book is about, it focuses on a teenage boy whose first love has just died, and the book switches back and forth between telling us about how their relationship started, walks us through their entire relationship, through their breakup, and then up to the present when he died. And then the other part of the book is in the present. We see the main character mourning alongside the guy who was dating his ex at the time of his death. They feel like they're the only ones who can really understand what each other is going through. It is heartbreaking and beautiful, and I cry every time I even think about it because Adam Silvera, let's be real, his writing is just incredible. The characters feel so rich and real, and it's brutally honest at times, and I love everything the man writes. Seriously, he's amazing. Number 2 on my list is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, aka Victoria Schwab. This is another one where I had to only pick one of the amazing books this author has put out this year. The other book she released this year is Our Dark Duet, both of which are series finales, but A Conjuring of Light, I just have such an emotional connection to the Shades of Magic series. It's beautiful, and the world building, oh my god, the world building in this series is incredible, guys. If you haven't heard of this series, it focuses on a magical traveler named Kel. There's 4 different dimensions that all intersect in London. There's Grey London, which is sort of basically our world where there isn't any magic, and that's in about the 19th century. There's Red London, which is his homeworld, which is rich and lush, full of thriving magic. There's White London, where the magic has kind of sucked all the life out of it and it's cold and depressing and scary. And then there's Black London, where magic has just completely ravaged the entire land to the point where it's gotten so dangerous that no one's even allowed to go there anymore. And Kel travels between these different Londons as a messenger for the royal family of Red London, but he also works as a smuggler, smuggling artifacts between worlds. One day he picks up an artifact from Black London that he should not have, and it quickly gets stolen by a cross-dressing thief from Grey London named Delilah Bard, and they sort of go on their adventures together. This world building is incredible. I've always thought that's the best thing about V.E. Schwab's books. It's like nothing I've ever seen. These worlds are so lush and rich and incredible, and it's so easy to picture them while I'm reading them, and also the characters are awesome. Like, Kel's a badass, Lila is like the most badass pirate, awesome thief chick you've ever met. And then you have Rye, who is, oh, my beautiful bisexual babe. The friendships, the relationships, the love, it's all there. It's so good. I think this is one of my favorite series finales ever. It was epic in all the right moments. It tied up enough things just perfectly so that it was a satisfying ending. Number 3 is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. And this is about 2 best friends who go to their first big fan convention. It's sort of a Comic-Con type thing. One of these friends is going as part of a press tour for her movie because she's a YouTuber turned movie star. She's dealing with the fact that her ex-boyfriend, who was also her co-star, she has to hang out with him all the time, but he's kind of a dick. And at the same time, she also has this crush on this other girl who's a fellow YouTuber. And then our other main character is there to meet her favorite author, but when the signing sort of falls out, she has to decide whether she wants to push through her anxiety and enter a costume contest, or just, you know, let it be and not bother trying to meet the author. I mean, first of all, like, I am a sucker for books about nerd culture. This was done perfectly, and it made me so happy. I related to both of the main characters on so many different levels, and there are a ton of different levels of representation. One of the main characters is, I believe, biracial, half Asian, and she's bisexual. The other main character struggles with anxiety, and I think she might be autistic. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't quite remember, and I don't have the book with me to reference. Please, if I'm wrong, someone correct me in the comments. And again, I can't speak to that representation quality-wise, but a lot of the other forms of representation that I can speak to were absolutely spot on. And then she's also really good representation for non-normative body types. She is self-identified as fat. This isn't something that she's necessarily struggling with. It's just sort of a part of who she is. This book kind of just had all the different things I was hoping for coming together in this beautiful explosion of awesome nerd culture, and I loved it. Number 4 is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. Everyone is talking about this book this year. It's about this girl named Star who witnesses her best friend being shot in an act of police brutality, and she then has to decide how to react, whether she wants to go to the media, whether she wants to step forward as a witness. You know, she's dealing with the police investigation, the racism of the press and the media, casual racism that she's put up with but hasn't addressed in her prep school, balancing the life of, you know, she goes to this really nice prep school, but she's also from a Black community where there's a lot of juxtaposition between the two settings. I want to be careful about how I talk about this book because I'm very aware of the fact that, like, I am super white, and so I would highly recommend looking up a review from someone who's actually from this community and can speak more specifically to the quality of the representation. I have heard a lot of people who are praising it on that aspect. I also think it brings up some painful but important to talk about discussions on the Black Lives Matter movement, on police brutality, you know, these things that need to be addressed. In a lot of ways, this is not an easy book to read, but it's so beautifully written. Angie Thomas is amazing. This book really feels like it's coming from a place of raw honesty and, you know, addressing the hurt in this community, and I have so much respect for Angie Thomas for writing it. The next book is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. If you know me at all, then you'll know that one of my all-time favorite books is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda. So this, her sophomore book, was one of my most anticipated, and I loved it. This book is about this girl named Molly whose twin sister has just gotten her first girlfriend, and Molly kind of feels like her sister is maybe abandoning her a little bit. She's never really had a boyfriend of her own. She finds this one guy who's friends with her sister's new girlfriend who she thinks could be the perfect guy for her, but just when she finds him, she also meets this new guy who works with her who is not at all the kind of guy she ever thought that she'd fall for, but sparks be a-flyin'. This book is funny and charming, and Molly is, like, amazing. I love her so much. This book has a lot of different kinds of representation, but I really respect that Becky Albertalli, you know, includes these representations, but doesn't try at all to speak over the marginalized groups that she's representing. The book also has really good own voices representation for non-normative body types. The main character, Molly, is self-identified fat, and her love interest, I don't remember if he ever self-identifies as fat specifically, but he's definitely not either the sort of tall, lanky, or like super muscly kind of love interest we typically see in YA. He is big and dorky and wonderful. This book just made me smile, and there were a couple awesome cameos from the Simon vs. Peeps, who we're also gonna see in Leah on the Offbeat coming out this spring. The next book, and this, not gonna lie, probably my favorite book of the year, Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I feel like I've talked about this book a lot this year. Maybe I haven't actually as much as I think I did. I don't know. I did a full review for it at some point. I think I did a full review for a number of these. I'll link any reviews that I have in the doobly-doo, just BT dubs. But this book is amazing. It takes place in the 18th, 19th one of those two. I don't have any of my books with me, guys, so like I can't check things. I'm so sorry. But it takes place in the 18th or 19th century and focuses on Monty, who is the son of a nobleman who's been a bit of a scoundrel lately, and he is going on his tour, which is basically when the rich kids go and tour Europe for a little bit as sort of a last hurrah before getting serious and going to work and learning from their parents how to be rich people. On this tour, he is also bringing with him his best friend, Percy, who he's low-key kind of in love with, and at least for the first part of the tour before they drop her off at boarding school, his sister, Felicity, who is an awesome badass feminist. But right before they're going to leave, Monty's father throws a wrench in their plan when he sends a chaperone with them to ensure that there won't be too much drinking and partying and sleeping with men, because, oh yes, Monty is bisexual. He's amazing. I will say they never use the specific words in the book because it's the 18th, 19th century and those words weren't a thing yet. But Monty actively talks about how he is sexually attracted to both men and women. Again, not a lot of discussion of non-binary because historical, but I am just so in love with this book. Again, this is another one where the representation is touches on so many different aspects and it's amazing. Like I said, Felicity is a badass 19th century feminist. She wants to be a doctor, but her parents just want to send her to finishing school. She is implied in the book but never explicitly stated to be asexual. The author has stated on Twitter that she is asexual, and that will be further explored in her own novel coming out later this year. Like I said, Monty is bi, his best friend Percy is biracial, and he's also dealing with a chronic illness. This book is hilarious. It's so funny, and honestly one of the most fun times I've ever had reading a book. But not only is it just funny and enjoyable, it also has so much heart underneath it, and like I said, touches on so many different awesome representations. And I think one of my favorite parts is that at the end of the book, the author has a whole section talking about the research she did, making sure that the different aspects of this book, from race representation to disability representation to sexuality and feminism and piracy, are all represented accurately in the book for the time period. And it's so cool and so well done, and I absolutely love it, and literally everyone go read it. It's amazing. Number 7 is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. I love Cassandra Clare. I will fight you. She can keep writing Shadowhunters books until the day I die. I don't care. I will keep reading them and keep loving them. Lord of Shadows is the second book in the Dark Artifices series, which is her third Shadowhunters related series. It's great. I love it. The Infernal Devices, not the Infernal Devices, the Dark Artifices takes place in LA, I think 5-ish years after the events of the Mortal Instruments, focuses on Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne, who are parabatai and live in LA at the LA Institute with the rest of the Blackthorne family. And the problem is that they're starting to realize that they may not just be friends, but that's forbidden in the Shadowhunter Society for parabatai to be romantically entangled. So they're dealing with that and also trying to solve all these weird mysteries that's going on around them, and Shadowhunter shenanigans ensue. Lord of Shadows. I don't want to say too much about the plot because, since it's the second book in the series, hecka spoilers, but I will say the events of the last few pages killed me. And also, I would die for Kit and Ty. And I'm so excited because they're getting their own series later. Even though this is the most difficult part about being a Shadowhunters fan, Cassandra Clare has told us, hey, Kit and Ty are getting their own series in 4 years. Moving on. The next book I have to talk about is How to Make a Wish by Ashley Herring Blake. This book is about a teenage girl who comes home from something that she was off doing for a little while. I don't remember what specifically, camp maybe? But basically she comes home to find out that her mother has moved them in with her boyfriend. Problem is, her mom didn't have a boyfriend when she left. New boyfriend turns out to be the dad of the main character's ex-boyfriend, so there's that fun wrench thrown in things. And then on top of that, this new girl moves to town who's real pretty, and bi stuff ensues. Yep, more bisexual representation. You noticing a trend? I really like bisexual representation, guys. Send me all your recs. But basically, this is beautifully written and has some really well done character development, some really, really well done relationship development, the exploration of the relationship between the main character and her mother is so good, and the relationship development between the main character and her love interest is like, so good. I also think the love interest is black, so like if you're looking for a good representation of queer interracial relationships, there you go. We're almost done. Number 9, I don't know if I can count. I think that's number 9. Sure, we're gonna go with it, is Ship of the Dead by Rick Riordan. Who would I be if I didn't include a Rick Riordan book on this list? This is the final book in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard trilogy, and it is the best yet. More Alex. That's all I've ever needed. Anyway, this series, if you have not read it, is about Magnus Chase, who finds out after he gets attacked by some kind of magic wolf and dies that he has been brought to Valhalla, which is the hotel where the Valkyries bring people when they die so that they can build the Norse gods' army for when Ragnarok comes so that they can, I don't know, save the world or something like that. But basically, this is Rick Riordan's take on the Norse gods. And so our main character, Magnus, is Annabeth Chase from the Percy Jackson series' cousin. He, along with his friend Sam, who is a Muslim Valkyrie, and his friends Hearthstone and Blitzen. One of them's a dwarf, and one of them's an elf, and one of them is deaf, and I can't remember which is which. And then in the second book in the series, Alex Chase is introduced, who is Sam's half-sibling, and Alex is a badass, amazing, I love her so much, gender fluid child of Loki. And this book was just such a good series finale. I want more. I absolutely love Magnus. I absolutely love Sam. I love Rick Riordan's writing so much. It's always a joy to read his books, and I cannot wait for the continuation of the Trials of Apollo series. Alright, we've reached the end of the list. One more book, guys. That book is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is sort of connected thematically to The Hate U Give. This is about a teenage boy who, after being profiled and a victim of police brutality, he starts writing letters to Martin Luther King as sort of a therapeutic journal exercise. And this sort of chronicles him going through school, interacting with the other people at his school, both his white classmates and his black classmates, sort of figuring out how to process this, how to deal with this. And this is so well written. The characters have so much depth. Again, this is another book that I would highly recommend looking up reviews from the actual marginalized community that it discusses, because I am clearly not a part of that community. But from a writing standpoint, from a characterization standpoint, from just a plot standpoint, it's really good. And I've heard people from the community say good things about the representation. And again, like The Hate U Give, I think it tackles a really important and difficult to have a discussion about police brutality in the Black Lives Matter movement. Alright, so those are my top 10 books of 2017. Please let me know what your top books are in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your favorite books or any of these books that I just talked about. Again, I will leave links to all my reviews in the doobly-doo. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye!